Hi, everybody, and welcome to February 2023. As it seems, winter has finally arrived. So ask yourself this. Are you on the verge of missing the next buying opportunity? Maybe you are. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you really do care. I think you do. People always say to me, you're always saying it's such a good time to buy. Sort of, yes, as long as you have a sound long-term plan. If you do, it's about getting in. So let's talk about that a little bit. So if we look back at 2022 as a whole, we had more deal volume than 7 out of the last 10 years. However, by the second half of the year, sentiment was full-on negativity. It was a year packed with a war in Ukraine, spiking inflation, interest rates that had virtually doubled or more. They went from 3% to like 7%, which for the market was actually the biggest story. But those rates have peaked. They peaked in October, November, and they've eased off a bit. And now, the market's percolating. It's busy, but no one knows it. Only those who are in it right now know what I'm talking about. And they don't want anybody else to know because they know it's an opportunity. Now, it's difficult to predict what's going to happen in 2023, primarily because of all the usual external factors, the socio-economic, the political, the geo-political, but all those factors in sum indicate a very healthy market. In the second half of 2022, we had very little deal volume, meaning that demand has built up. It's like a river and a dam. It just gets pent up. People have had gridlock in their lives, but they need to get on with it. They need to move. So demand should be strong. The issue is supply. What are they going to buy? Typically, after a period of slow volume, we have tons of unsold apartments which stack up. But this market's been different. It's unique. The slowdown was severe enough that sellers haven't wanted to sell in this environment of negative sentiment. Not to mention that many of them have been locked into super low rates and they haven't even been able to conceive of giving those up. They have had 2.5%, 3%. So a lot of the inventory has been held off the market. The lack of supply, though, has supported the price because demand has been outweighing supply. But then people say to me, what about interest rates? They're so high, that's got to be quashing demand. It has, and it will, yes, but to a lesser degree. People have begun to realize that rates are high, but they're really not that high. It's high because we remember an artificially low 3%. But consider where rates were for nearly an entire decade, for almost the entire decade of the aughts. And you can see a chart of this in my newsletter. In the year 2000, interest rates were 8%. Then they went to 6.9%, then 6.5, 5.8, 6.4, and they hovered in that range. And during that time period, we had some serious boom years. So people are now just reacclimating to this environment. We are on the verge of some substantial market activity. And I always personally believe that the greatest barrier to entry in Manhattan is not the price, it's the competition. So while all the others are sitting back, pondering what they're going to do, you have an opportunity to get in. And remember a few things. Don't try to time it. Now, some people are going to say, sounds like you're actually trying to time it. Yes, there are ideal moments when it's better than others to get in, like after the financial crisis, after the pandemic. But generally, as long as you have a sound long-term plan, you're setting yourself up for success. So then ask yourself, is now reflective of one of those ideal moments? Now, I get into more detail on this in my newsletter, which you can see at www.robertocabrera.com. So check that out. But also remember this. Who represents you matters. Your best investment is often in the broker you choose. Find someone with experience and someone you feel you can trust. And don't forget my podcast, Burrows and Burbs, on Thursdays from 4 to 5 with my dear colleague, John Engel. In the meantime, have a great February, and I'll see you soon.